Okay, so this video tutorial is going to look at the mathematical strand of real number, and more specifically we're going to focus on multiplying and dividing fractions. So when we're multiplying fractions, okay, the rule is you basically just multiply the numbers horizontally across, and it doesn't particularly matter if the denominators are different, okay, that's only when you're adding and subtracting. As an example, let's say we have 3/4 multiplied by 2/5, okay, this is just going to become 3 multiplied by 2 over 4 multiplied by 5, which is just going to be 6 over 20, and I can cancel that down to 3 over 10. Alright, so you can see that we simply just multiply across. Alright, that gives us this fraction here. Once we've got our answer, we then just simplify, and you can see we've simplified here by dividing by 2. Now, when you're dividing fractions, okay, essentially what you need to do is you need to flip the second fraction, and what this does is it creates a reciprocal fraction. If we're going to use our example from before, we had 3/4, okay, we were timesing by 2/5, but this time we're going to divide by 2/5. Alright, essentially what we need to do is we then flip our second fraction. So we're going to take this fraction here and we're going to flip it upside down, so make it 5 over 2. That's called our reciprocal. Okay, reciprocal, that might be an O. Alright, so essentially we're flipping a fraction. And now you can see that what happened was it caused the divide sign to become a multiply, and we know that we just multiply straight across. So this gives us 3 times 5 over 4 times 2, which is 15 over 8. You can leave it as an improper fraction, or you can write it as 1 7/8. Okay, so I want you to have a go at some practice questions now. The practice questions are going to come up very soon. When they do, can you pause the video, try and answer them, and when you think you've got the right answers, we'll move on and check them. Okay, so as stated, here are some practice questions. Try and answer them to the best of your ability. When you think you've got them all correct, we'll move on and we'll check them. Okay, so let's see how you went. In our first question, we're just multiplying directly across. So this gives us 5 times 2 over 8 times 3, which is just 10 over 24, and we can cancel that down to be 5 over 12. In our second example, remember, we need to flip the second fraction. If we do that, we end up changing the sign from a divide to a times. This then becomes 3 times 2 over 4 times 1, which is just 6 over 4, which is 3 over 2, or 1 1/2. In our next example, where we've got mixed numbers, first thing I want to try and do is change them to an improper fraction. It'll make it a little bit easier. So our first fraction becomes 9 over 4. We're going to times that by 11 over 8, right? Which in this particular case is 9 times 11 is 99, 8 times 4 is 32, and there's our fraction. If you wanted to write that as a mixed number, you could end up with 3 and 3 over 32. Again, I'm going to change these to improper fractions, which gives me 14 over 3 divided by 13 over 4. Now if I want to rewrite these, I'm going to have 14 over 3 multiplied by 4 over 13. That's going to give me 56 over 39. or it's going to give me 1, and just work out the remainder, 17. Oops, let's make sure that's neat. 17 over 39.